Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us at the Citizens Trust Bank Operation Hope Empowering Change for Generations Partner Reception. Operation Hope is near and dear to me, and I'll tell you why. When I was 12 years old, my mother and father got divorced, and my mother, who was a stay-at-home mom, found herself thrust into the role of nurturer, provider, and everything for 5 rambunctious, opinionated girls. Shortly thereafter the divorce, we experienced a foreclosure. That was traumatizing to my sisters and I because we built that house, we grew up there. Fast forward about 4 years later, my mom worked 3 jobs and was able to get another house for us. We were so excited. But guess what happened? Another foreclosure. That taught me early on 2 things. I had to do my job to break the generational curse of not knowing financial literacy. It also taught me that hard work alone does not equal financial success. You need both. You need the hard work ethic, my mom and her 3 jobs, but you need financial literacy. You need the skills, you need the knowledge, you need the tools. My mom needed Operation Hope. Operation Hope is here for people like my mother and other people we serve to help them be better, to break those generational curses, and to empower them to do what they need to do for the next generation to be successful. I'm proud of this day. I'm excited about this partnership, and I look forward to you guys learning more about Citizens Trust Bank and Operation Hope. What I experienced in the past made me who I am today. I'm Marsha Womack, First Vice President, Director of Retail Banking for Citizens Trust. I want to thank all of our customers, our supporters, our city officials, our county officials here with us today, our team here. This is our Panola Financial Center. Operation Hope sits here throughout the week. Thank my retail staff for helping me along this journey. And most importantly, our Operation Hope partners. With that, I'll turn it over to Twina Feliciano, our Hope Inside coach. Twina.
Thank you, Marsha, so very much. And good morning. I bring you all greetings as the coach of this partnership. First, I want to say greetings to our founder, chairman, and CEO, John Hope Bryant. And I want you all to help me in wishing him a happy belated birthday. Thank you. To CEO Day, to all of the team members of Citizens Trust, to all of the team members of Operation Hope, to Lance Triggs, but most importantly, to all of our clients here in this community that we serve, and of course, our elected officials. We say thank you for being here with us this morning. I have been so excited about this partnership since its inception because of the legacy of Citizens Trust and also because of the mission of Operation Hope to come at social justice from more of an economic lens. I have been able to see the impact that we have been able to make. I have seen roughly 223 clients since June, being able to offer them around 723 unique services. Being positioned as a credit and money management coach, as well as a small business coach with Operation Hope, I have been able to fuse the 2 parts of my life as a business owner and as a prior registered banker. So we have seen great success with our program, and just for the sake of time, I want to highlight 2 of our clients through the program. So this is Miss Carolyn Taylor. Hello. And she is a longtime client of Citizens Trust. She came to her banker, Ron Demas, at the Rockbridge branch and sat down with him and wanted to ask him about a business loan. Well, we all understand that in the beginning, your personal credit is directly related to what type of business loan you may be able to get. So there were some credit challenges there, and they talked about some things and tried to work through them. But when we started our partnership, Ron called and asked me to speak with Miss Carolyn. Miss Carolyn came to see me. We were able to sit down and go through some things that she needed to do, some things that she needed to stop doing, some things that Ron and I knew that could help her to get to the next level for what she wanted to do. Miss Carolyn owns Rugged Flowers. She is a landscaper. And within a matter of 2 months, doing what we asked her to do to be successful, she was able to raise her score 40 points in 2 months. And now, Miss Carolyn also took advantage of some of the experts that we have with our small business development program. Mr. Malcolm Witchard, who is a procurement specialist, and Miss Carolyn has now been approved for her small business grant, which she came in months ago to do. So we thank you. And also, I want to highlight Miss Shannon Johnson. Ms. Shannon Johnson is the owner of Schuler Scott Enterprises, LLC. Her and her husband, with their family, relocated here from Philadelphia. So she heard about Citizens Trust and came in and spoke with the banker about opening up a business account. At that time, her and her sister had the idea of what they were going to do. So she opened up the account. Ron Demas spoke with her about the partnership that we have with Operation Hope and the 8-week class that we have for small businesses. She thought that this would be something great for her to do since she didn't really know where to start and how to do it, especially here in Georgia. Through our 8-week small business program, Ms. Shannon has opened her business. And they are project managers. So they focus on being a one-stop shop for investors who may not have the time or the knowledge to be able to handle their fix and flips or their buy and holds. And so just last week, they started their first project, which will yield them a profit of $40K in revenue. And Miss Shannon thought that, okay, I'm going to start my business in the summer. But through the direction that she had with the program, the feedback, the experts helping her with their business plan, validation of price points, she was able to go ahead and get her first client. So we thank you for being a part of the ETP. So not to be long on time, but I just want to say thank you to all of the staff here. Ron Demas has been such a great attribute to this program. Mr. John Price has been wonderful as the center manager here. Ms. Arnita has been great in sending people who we could help. And I also want to highlight Muhammad Cannon, because what I hear from every client when they leave his office is that he makes it a safe space to do banking. And so we thank you for being here today, and we thank all of you for being a part of this partnership that we have so that you all can help your families and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Twina. Thank you, Miss Carolyn and Miss Shannon. And like Twina said, a safe space, that's very important. We all know finances and credit, that's very personal to people. So thank you, retail banking team, for making our clients feel safe and steering them in the right direction. Celebrated for her passion, confidence, and ambition, Miss Cynthia Day continues to be recognized among the top finance industry leaders by both national and local outlets. That's right. As Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Day provides the vision and strategic direction for Citizens Trust Bank. During her tenure, the bank continues to reach many milestones, including achieving record-level earnings since the inception of the institution. Navigating unprecedented times, a rapidly changing and competitive market landscape, through her leadership, Citizens Trust Bank remains healthy and financially strong. As an executive and thought leader promoting financial empowerment and economic equality, she leads by example, dedicated to making financial lives better for people and companies of every size. With a career that spans nearly 30 years in banking and finance industries, Ms. Day delivers effective solutions to drive high performance and produce positive results. She is a member of the board of directors of Citizens Bankshare Corporation and other companies. Most recently, we're so proud of her, she has been appointed to the board of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. Ms. Day consistently gives of her time to service and believes in embodying a spirit of excellence to ensure the financial success of all companies and communities in which she is engaged. Please join me in welcoming Cynthia N. Day, President and CEO of Citizens Trust Bank.
Thank you, Marcia, for that warm introduction. I'm truly humbled. And Marcia runs our retail footprint, and she does an amazing job. She's tenacious, and she's a woman on a mission. She wants to make sure that our customers have an excellent experience and that our frontline teams are supported. So thank you. I just want to say thank you to our county and city officials and all of you that have joined us, our valued customers, our supporters, and our friends, and to our CTB team and the team of Operation Hope. Thank you for being here with us today. I'm humbled to stand alongside you as a servant of the community, and I don't take it for granted, the responsibility that we all share to continue to shape a better, stronger, and sustainable communities for all. We are here to celebrate our partnership with Operation Hope. We have a lot of valued partners, but I will tell you this one is extremely special to me. So thank you for joining us in that. First, I'd like to take a little personal liberty in deference to Black History Month to give you a little bit of history of CTB. I know that these days history is not considered important, but to us, history is a tool that shapes our future. I couldn't be prouder of the one-year history of Citizens Trust Bank and our journey with our customers and the community. The story of Citizens Trust Bank is extraordinary. The things that we have done, and we are steeped in historical significance, purpose, and resiliency. Our founding fathers gave us a vision that is still relevant 100 years later. And you might ask me, how could a vision still be relevant 100 years later? And what I would say to you is that we have made much progress, but there's still much work to be done. The vision they gave us was a vision for economic equality and empowerment for communities of color with three major tenets. One is access to capital for businesses to support stronger, sustainable communities. The second was the pursuit of an American dream of home ownership. And third was thriftiness, and that's an old term, but what they really meant was savings and investing for the future to build wealth for generations to come. So we are really proud of this. This is our legacy, it's our mission, and we will never, not on my watch, ever stop advocating for the growth and well-being of our customers and the communities that we serve. The resiliency of the foundation that they built and the shoulders on which we stand has survived the test of time. We've been through the Great Depression. It was the largest economic upheaval in the history of our country. Several years later, we became the first African-American bank in the country to become a part of the Federal Reserve System, and we're very proud of that. Thank you. And your bank was in the midst of the civil rights movement, and we had at the helm of our board of directors two iconic leaders, Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and Dr. Benjamin E. Mays. We survived the Great Recession, even when we had massive bank failures in the state of Georgia and unemployment in some of the areas that we serve. Unemployment was double the national average and the Georgia average. When several affluent banks were failing, we kept standing. We never lost a dime of our shareholders' money. And also, we moved through the pandemic, and when many businesses, including our businesses, were challenged with making sure that our families, our employees and their families were safe, and making sure we could, keep our business moving, we supported by funding $200 million in small businesses to ensure that they survived and were able to continue to support their community and be the lifeblood of our country and our communities. So as you can see, your bank, our bank, is resilient and it's strong. We're over $800 million in assets, and within the next, we won't stop there. Over the next 18 to 20 months, we hope to cross that $1 billion mark, one of only 2 African American banks in the country to ever reach that milestone. Thank you. We have a digital footprint that spans and serving customers over 48 of the 50 states in the country, with plans to expand with a physical presence in markets throughout the country. We partner with schools because we think educating our middle and high schoolers on financial literacy and money management. We've touched over 14,000 plus students. We host over 4,000 home ownership seminars because we believe in home ownership. 86% of our loans are to small businesses. 88% of our loans are in minority communities. We are extremely proud of our journey, but we must continue to provide unbiased financial solutions and education to our customers as we grow and as we watch them grow. We believe that financial education is the gateway to home ownership and a step in narrowing the widening wealth gap. This is important to our strategy and our mission that supports the stabilization and strengthening of our communities. Because of that, we are extremely proud to partner with Operation Hope, a partner whose values and missions perfectly aligns with ours. Partners who are committed to the pursuit of economic equality, advancement, and freedom. And through this partnership, our customers, our community, has access to one-on-one coaching at no cost to them and financial education that helps them improve their credit scores, you heard that earlier, and also to purchase a home. Our Panola Financial Center is the first in the Citizens Trust Bank footprint to feature hope inside. It is our continued commitment to ensure of the health of the communities that we serve. And I'm happy to say in the first 6 months, we have seen some amazing results. So thank you to our Operation Hope partners. So without further ado, please let me introduce you to the chairman and CEO of Operation Hope, the largest nonprofit of financial education in the U.S. He has way too many accolades for me to cite, but I just want to share a couple of them with you. He has served as an advisor to 3 former U.S. presidents. He's been a contributor on most major news outlets, and I'm sure you've seen him because they're always seeking his advice and his wisdom. He has single-handedly, and this one is important, he was single-handedly inspired the renaming of the U.S. Treasury Annex building in the White House campus to the Freedmen's Bank building. If you don't know what that is, I don't have time to explain it, but during this month, Google it, and it is a very inspirational story. But most importantly, he is an admired friend. So please join me in welcoming Mr. John Hope Bryant. Absolutely.
Everybody watch this, watch.
Stop it.
It's a bad sister. Give her some love, will you? I want to acknowledge Commissioner Lorraine Johnson, who's here, who is indirectly responsible for us being in DeKalb. She called and encouraged me several years ago and said, why wasn't I here? Also, Michael Thurman also encouraged me, took me to dinner and gave me all the demographics for this area. And I didn't realize it was I think it's the second wealthiest black community in America, which is a little known fact. And his wife is here, Mrs. Thurman, who I thought was his daughter, actually. It would say black don't crack. So I want to also acknowledge Lance Triggs, who's here, is our president for all programs for Operation Hope nationally. We're the largest on-the-ground network of locations. This might be 241. Somebody give me the number, or 220. I don't know. I get confused with I'm doing right? All right. The number committed versus number open, but we're the largest in the country, and this is our newest location. It's really important. I'll get into why in a second. But about $4 billion in capital, actually I'm sure it's more than that now because we just announced $1 billion with one bank last week, has been put into our community since we were founded. All that's under Lance Triggs' leadership. I get the credit, but he does most of the work. PhD. So thank you, Lance. So what I love about today is you don't have to talk about black history, you're sitting in it. So history does not feel historic when you're sitting in it. It just feels like another day. But that does not mean the moment is not historic. What do I mean by that? Dr. King walked the streets of Atlanta for 13 years. He was in the movement for 13 years. All we remember, all we want to remember, all we choose to remember is one speech, I Have a Dream, on the Mall in Washington, on one day, when no one wanted him there, by the way. The organizers of that march, for a lot of competitive reasons, because he was getting a lot of attention. He was a young guy, he was one of the youngest leaders, he was getting most attention. Some resented him. They were jealous of him. So they didn't really want him to speak. And you might not know, but the speeches went on all day. But most of those speeches were forgettable. People can know authenticity when they find it. You know authenticity when you find it. And they found Dr. King to be authentic, but he didn't push to speak. It was Dr. Dorothy Height, some of you may remember that name, who said, let the guy speak, let the young man speak. The young people listen to him. What could he do in 8 minutes? Give him 8 minutes. What could he do in 8 minutes? So they gave him 8 minutes. And it's the only thing anybody remembers. But he gave that speech 100 times before the March on Washington. That's my point to you. 2,600 speeches, 6 million air miles. And back then, we were talking about prop planes and the beginning of it was slow traveling. But he was here for 13 years. Went to parent-teacher night, went to the grocery store. You see him around like you see Bernice King around. You see Martin King III around. You see Ambassador Young around. That's how you'd see Dr. King running around Atlanta. We didn't know that was a historic moment. We didn't recognize it. We didn't see what was going on. I'm telling you, this moment is like that moment. It's just that was in the streets protesting, and these are business deals being cut in the suites. That was civil rights, and this is civil rights. The color was black and white back then. The color is green now. The color, by the way, has always been green. So let me now go back and then come forward and get to the most important, why we're here, and I'm going to blow you away with some data for your own neighborhood. But one quick historical perspective. So Cynthia mentioned the Freedmen's Bank. The Freedmen's Bank was chartered by Abraham Lincoln in 1865 to teach free slaves about money. I'm giving you guys a short version of this. You're smart. You can look it up for yourself later, but it contextualizes with why we're here. I'm not giving you some history lesson for no good reason. The Freedmen's Bank was chartered to teach free slaves about money and to domicile the savings of Union soldiers who were black, who were fighting the Union cause. You with me so far? 2 months before that, they met in Savannah, Georgia, January 1865, before that bank was chartered, with 20 ministers who were formerly enslaved and said, what do you want after slavery? Did they say, I want a welfare program? No, see, this is easy, seek and respond. Did they say we want a handout? No. They said, I want to do for myself. I want land. See how easy this is? It's not a black answer. It's not a Latino answer. It's not a white answer. It's not an Asian answer. It's just an answer. It's common sense. So they said, fine, we're going to give you, this is Field Action 15, Cynthia, we're going to allocate 400,000 acres from North Carolina down the coast to where I was yesterday, Miami, along the beach, which today is beautiful property, but back then was in an agricultural age, it was almost a diss because it was the least attractive property you could give somebody because you want to grow something, you're not growing it in sand. But we didn't complain about it. We said, fine, we'll take that land. It was 40 acres each. You'll get this in a second. We worked that land so hard, they said, my God, they're so industrious, give them a mule. Oh, you guys had your coffee this morning? Are you following this? And by the way, that wasn't 2 years later. That wasn't 5 years. That was a month later. No Twitter, no Facebook, no Snapchat, no Instagram, no email, no. Somehow we got the memo that land was available, occupied this substandard land, worked it so hard, they rewarded us with basically industry or equipment of that day, a mule, 40 acres and a mule. That was January, February 1865. I'm trying to get you to understand how this works. The next month, Lincoln agreed to charter this bank, which, by the way, was inspired by a black man, a pastor out of New York. We don't have time for this story. But Lincoln signed the law to create the Freedmen's Bureau, which created the hospitals and educational institutions, but it created also this bank. The third month, he was killed in April. Lincoln was killed in April. That's why you never heard of it. Frederick Douglass tried to run this bank. The guy who we know to be an abolitionist was really a businessman. He owned $6 million worth of real estate in Baltimore, Maryland, and rented it out to working class blacks so he had the financial freedom to be what you now know to be an abolitionist. Are you with me so far? Slavery was about money, just real talk, real talk. It was about money. We don't have time for the whole story. This piece I just told you was about money. And when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, the story stopped. So it's not like we're dumb or we're stupid. When the rules are published and the playing field is level, when the rules are published, I'm watching TV. Oh, sorry. I'm at home and my son's watching TV, and he's watching LeBron about to take this new achievement, which we all know about, right? We got to make this as sexy as that. Real talk. Got to make financial literacy and economic empowerment as interesting as watching basketball. And what hit me, Commissioner Johnson, is when the rules are published and the playing field is level, we kill it. The arts, professional sports of all kind. I mean, we're even killing it in tennis and golf and F1 racing. And politics, public service, when the rules are published and the playing field is level. Capitalism doesn't work that way. So it's what we didn't know that was killing us, but we thought we knew. So what's the relevancy today? We're about that bag today. We're trying to get that money, get that dollar, get paid. It ain't got nothing, sorry, bad English today. That has nothing.
It's okay.
No, I want to talk real, not that real. That may be the only thing media covers is he said ain't today. But real talk, we're winning the battle and losing the war. You make money during the day, you build wealth when you're asleep. I'm gonna repeat that. You make money during the day, get that bag, get that dollar, want this cash. That's what we're obsessed with. But by the way, you stop making the money, you chill for a minute, the money's gone. If you did nothing else, that's why you can have a $100 million NBA contract and work at Starbucks in 5 years. Dead broke, because you're focused on the wrong things. You thought that money was riches and riches was wealth. No, it doesn't work that way. You can be temporarily rich and permanently broke. So we got the memo on we know how to hustle. We're not lazy. We built this country for free. I'm not making a partisan comment or even a racial comment. They brought us here because we were excellent at agriculture. We were agricultural geniuses who could take land in Africa that was dead dirt, dead soil, moisturize it, reformulate it, and grow it again. That's why they brought us here. And we were hard workers who could work from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. We were the best product in the world then and now. I'm trying to get you to reformat how we see ourselves. And it's not along racial lines. It's nothing to do with race. Fast forward. So the bank fails in 1871 or so, an OCC bank, and thank God for Citizens Trust and the rest of these holding the line. But basically, we've been treading water going backwards because we've been looking for love in all the wrong places. Again, we don't have time for this, but let me just cut to the chase. So you may write off everything I've said up until now. Just roll your eyes and say, I don't know what this guy's talking about. It makes no sense to me. Let me give you some data. You like data? Yes. I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. All right, here's the data. This is Decatur. Now, I've toured the neighborhood. I've not gone on a looking tour. I haven't talked to people. I'm just going to tell you what the data shows me. This is a Hope Credit Score Index. I just showed Cynthia. By the way, that's a bad sister. An $800+ million bank. That must mean that is. This is like black royalty. Sorry, no, this is like royalty. Because if you have $800 million of assets for an underserved population, there's probably not another 20 institutions, maybe not 10 in America who's black run and black control that has almost $1 billion in assets in the largest economy in the world. And without a bank, you cannot come up. I'm about to show you what I mean. I think Dr. King would be incredibly proud of this lady today. And notably, Dr. King's father served on the board of this bank. She sort of walked right past it, but he served on the board of a bank of this bank for 40 years. He preached on Sunday and banked on Monday. He was a real estate guy. Dr. King's grandfather, A.D. Williams, was also a real estate guy. Why do you think the King Center has that property around there? They owned the land. Again, let me now speak to the data. Decatur 30035. You guys know where that zip code is. 30030 is 10 minutes away. All right? Follow me now. Average credit score in 30035, 625. Average credit score in 30030, 726. Stand by. Median income in 35, $42,000. Median income in 30, $103,000. Unemployment in 30035, 7.3%. Unemployment 10 minutes away, 3.7%. It's half. I'm not even getting to the interesting parts yet. Home ownership rate, 30035, 49%. The average home ownership rate for Black America is 41%. What's the number one way you build wealth in America? This is not trick questions. What's the number one way you build wealth? Home ownership. You build wealth in your sleep. If you're renting from me, I'm the largest separate from Operation Hope, I'm the largest minority shareholder or owner of single-family rental real estate in America. I own 700 homes. I own 700. My mother owned 7. Her mother had a shotgun shack, and her mother was a slave. See that transition? That's not brilliance. That's not genius. It's role modeling. My great-grandmother was a slave. My grandmother owned a shotgun shack. My mother owned 7 homes. I owned 700. My grandfather was a slave, became a sharecropper. My dad became a small business owner. I became an entrepreneur. It's just role model. You model what you see. So you build wealth in your sleep. The reason I can sit here and not be concerned about my bills is because while I'm sitting here, a bunch of folks are paying me rent, and my values and my property's going up, not because I'm a genius, but because land has never gone down in value in the history of America. Is this too fast for you? Are we good? So when I say to you, own a home, I'm serious. And that includes move out of my place. I don't want you with me a day longer than you need to be. Because all you're doing is paying off my debt. 49% of people in this neighborhood, in 30035, own a home, compared to 63% in 30030. Median home value, this won't surprise you, $193,000 to $384,000. Property crimes per 1,000, 26% to 17%. Violent crimes per 1,000, 6% to 2%. Here's a big one. High school graduation rates, 76% in 30035, 98% in 30030. Basically 100% of people graduate from high school and go on to college in 30030. Here's one for you. Life expectancy. In 30035, you live to 71 years old. on average. In 30030, you live to 80 plus. Now here's a shocker. We've mapped out every credit score in America by zip code. You tell me your zip code, I'll tell you how you're living. It's called the Hope Credit Score Index. Go online, after this is over, put your zip code in, it'll blow your mind. Here's what we found. You live in a 580 to 600 credit score neighborhood. You live to 61. What's Social Security? 65. You're paying into a system. What did Malcolm X say? We've been bamboozled, we've been tricked, we've been fooled. But no one's doing this to us at the moment. We're doing this to ourselves. There's not a dude on a horse running down the street with the Klan call, trying to either walk you out of your neighborhood or walk you into another one or forcing you to go to a check casher or forcing you to go to a payday lender. Here's what you see in a 500 credit score neighborhood. A check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a pawn shop, a liquor store, and a church down the street. He said it, security even in on it. And there's a church down the street trying to make you feel a little bit better once a week so you don't go cray-cray. That is really an unofficial psychologist. We go to church and scream and holler and listen to the gospel, but that's really the shrink. Because we don't want to go see a shrink. We don't want to admit we're crazy. If you're black in America and you're not crazy, you don't think you're a little crazy, you really are crazy. And just so everybody understands that this is universal, if I just told you the same thing about a white neighborhood, poor, white, rural neighborhood, I'm almost done. I know you guys are tired of me. You go to a poor, white, rural neighborhood, 580 to 600 credit score, same thing. Here's what you see. Check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, next to a church. They just praise differently. We riot maybe when we get upset in the streets. They riot at the ballot box. But fear and frustration is the same. It doesn't work. Data will set you free. My data tells me you live 20 years longer if you stabilize your economic life. By the way, not even your life. Just live in a zip code that's not cray-cray. And you can't do that without banking. You cannot stabilize or grow a neighborhood or a community without access to capital and a place to domicile your savings. I can't stress this enough. The reason we're here is we're going to help Citizens Trust Bank to fulfill its mission. We're the first nonprofit in history to have a business plan. That's why we have 200 going on, I think, 1,000 locations. We're going to become the Starbucks of financial inclusion. Wherever you go across America, in 2025, 2026, influenced Delta last week to launch, we're their coach for all 90,000 employees, and we got the CEO to agree to give $1,000, invest $1,000 in every employee with an emergency savings account if they go through Hope Financial Coaching. Every employee at Delta. We're at UPS. We're in Harley-Davidson. We're in the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. We're in major employers, small ones, but the key in this communities is a bank to get them out of the no business and back into the yes business. But they can't do that if your credit score is toe up from the floor up. They can't say that. They'll be sued. I'm going to say it. If your credit looks like Pookie and them, now y'all know that was funny. You know Pookie and them. If your credit score is toe up and it's 580, she cannot give you a loan. I don't care how nice you are. You can go to church every Sunday, be a decent human being, pay your taxes, be nice. She can't give you access to credit. She can't give you a decent auto loan below 620. She can't give you a decent home loan below 650. She can't give you a small business loan at all below 700 because it's risky credit. So here's what we're doing already here. The average credit score is about 613. We've popped credit scores in the first few months we've been here by 29 points. In a couple months, we're going to raise credit scores 54 points in 6 months, 120 points in 24 months. Nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. We've already reduced debt by $474. We've already increased savings. This one's stunning to me, by $3,000. Now let me stop here and just say this to you. What would happen? 40 million black Americans. Now we're for everybody. I'm just talking about black America now. 40 million black Americans. Half of us have a credit score below 620. I didn't say poor people. I mean suits, ties, advanced degrees, doctors, lawyers. Let me, just real talk now, and I'm done. If half of Black America's credit score is below 620, is your problem really racism? Police brutality? I mean, yeah, these things are serious. The Republican Party or whatever the thing is we obsess about. We spend hours and hours a week talking about these things. But if half of us are locked out of the free enterprise system, in a free enterprise of democracy, Andrew Young quote, to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. So you take somebody who makes $48,000 or $50,000 a year, you raise the credit score by 100 points over 2 years, you lower their debt by $3,000, you increase their savings by $400 to $1,000, you set them free. That's it. I'm gonna say something really revolutionary. You wanna change America? Move credit scores 100 points. That's it. That's why I'm here. That's why this is important. Tell your friends, go on Facebook, share the stories, tell them to open an account, tell them to get the credit score up so you can say yes to home ownership, yes to small business ownership, yes to that new car you want, yes to have employers check your credit before they'll hire you. This is real talk, people. This is life-changing stuff. And ladies, I see some cute ladies here. When you go to the club now, post-COVID, and you see that handsome guy, you say, oh, you're cool, what's your name? What's your credit score? Guys, ladies, the same thing, guys and ladies, you're picking a life partner. Cute falls away, dumb lasts forever. I'm done.
Wow. Thank you, Chairman Bryant. Thank you, CEO Ms. Day. Dynamic speakers, dynamic comments. We're sitting in history, but I challenge us not to sit in it. Take it out with you. Take it out of these four walls and don't be locked out, as Chairman Bryant said. Wonderful comments. So our accolades extend beyond Chairman Bryant and Mrs. Day. We have a number of city officials here with us that we want to allow an opportunity to take a couple of moments to speak. So Mayor Jasmine Cobble, if you'd like to come up for 2 minutes and speak.
Thank you. Just FYI, I never want to come behind John. Never. Never. So I'll take 30 seconds to say, first of all, thank you so much for coming back to the city of Stonecrest, where it's always a pleasure to have you here. You're always dropping gems on the community, and it's important that we stay one connected community. A program like this ensures that we are that. Ensures that our community stays together, that our community works to build itself together. It's always the partners, not just the constituents, not just the business owners, not just the faith-based community, but it's everyone together working to build our community. And when our community is strong, we can't lose. And I think you heard that in more than one way. It's our community that takes care of itself. And when we do that, it will change the world. We surely believe that Stonecrest is a world changer, not just a game changer, but a world changer. We are the epicenter of excellence and greatness. And we surely believe that as we educate each other, as we build our community together, we have no choice but to succeed. So thank you so much for the program. Thank you for the partnership. Thank you for caring about our community. Thank you for investing here, your time, your resources, your education. Thank you for building and sowing into our community, because surely you could have placed yourself anywhere. You can put your program anywhere. You can put your partnership anywhere, but you chose to be here in the city of Stonecrest, and we surely can't thank you enough for that. Investing in our community will surely reap the benefits for many years and many generations ahead. So thank you again on behalf of the city of Stonecrest. My fantastic council member, Councilman Rob Turner, is here, who represents this district. I know he's excited as well. Anything the city can do to participate in this and growing our community, we're more than willing, and we're here to help. So thanks again. We really appreciate it, and go Stonecrest.
Thank you so much, Mayor Cobble. Also, Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be present, and today this opportunity strikes me differently. This is not my first rodeo. When I first was elected in 2019, I entered or embarked upon a crusade because I get the calls as the Super District Commissioner of DeKalb County, Georgia, where I proudly represent everything from the southernmost tip of Dunwoody to Stone Mountain, Stonecrest, Doraville, Tucker, Ellenwood, unincorporated DeKalb, and certain portions of Decatur, over 380,000 constituents. And I have to say hi to Miss Zola Thurman this morning because this lady is also very important to me. She and John Hope Bryan mean something to me. So when I get these calls and people tell me what they want in the community, in our community, often we have not because we own not. We can no longer plead ignorance. It's time we lift that veil. Thomas Jefferson said it best when he said, "He who expects to be ignorant and free expects what never was and never will be." Today, it's these types of programs that help us change our trajectory. It's time we own things in our community. 85% of franchises and small businesses are within a 5-mile radius of the home of the owner. Don't call me and tell me you want something. It's my responsibility as your elected official to help you do something about it. So it was in 2019 that I called this man, understanding his model. And see, John, I knew you were special when I was managing the Atlanta Daily World. And I'm sitting there in the office and I get a knock on the door and they give me a little box. And when I opened it, it was a video. And it was inviting me to the Federal Reserve when you were moving your operations from California to Atlanta. And I thought, you don't get invited to the vault at the Federal Reserve every day. So I'll go see this man. And it was after that encounter that the very next week you had the cover of the Atlanta Daily World. Because see, I understand when it's important because it's time for us to have the same message of prosperity in our communities. I am an individual who stands amongst politicians. People who care sometimes more about themselves than they do people. More about politics than people. But it is time we educate each other and it is time we have programs in our community. I look forward to doing business here. So in September of 2019, we cut our ribbon on our first Hope Center here in Stonecrest at the Allen Entrepreneurship Incubator. On an annual basis during our last report, and thank you, Lance, last year we educated and rose the credit score average of 40 points within 90 days for over 800 individuals. Through his relationships with PNC Bank, because as he said, 80% of most African American wealth is directly linked to home ownership. If we have no home, we have nothing. Since that time, we've issued over $20 million in down payment assistance and home loans here in DeKalb County, but you don't hear that. All you hear are the bad things. And you see, when you're busy doing, you don't have time. But I want everyone to leave here today and go tell everybody it's time to come to the bank. We have to go from just talking civil rights to silver rights. And it's time we have financial dignity because there's a huge difference between communities that have 600 credit scores and those who have 700 and above. So thank you for answering the call. I thank you, Cynthia. It's been years. I don't see you now that I left the city of Atlanta. But this lady didn't say enough. And you know, it's just special to be in Citizens Trust because of its history. First bank, African American, 1921, 1947, you were the first African American bank to become a member of the Federal Reserve. So when he says it's history, it's true. And I'm glad you gave the numbers. because only through us working together. So I want us to tell everybody, John, as soon as I get back, the press release is going out, that we now have hope here in Citizens Trust to work with our people so that we can change the trajectory of our communities. So thank you. I'll take my seat because I get excited. I love prosperity gospel. But thank you, and thank you, Marsha.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. All right, and Councilman for District 2, Rob Turner.
Good morning and thank you. Dr. Bryant, Madam CEO, Madam Commissioner, Madam Mayor, thank you for what you're doing for our families, for our community, for generations to come. You know, we have 5 districts in this great city, and I was sitting here thinking, now, God must really like me because he's put this great institution in my district. So I am honored, I am humbled, and I'm so grateful to that. But this is a wonderful time. I thank you. You know, my wife and I always said there's more behind us than in front of us. So what we're doing is always for the generations to come. And the Word of God says, you know, there is power in agreement. And as two come together, we can explode things, we can change things, we can make great things happen. And this is the beginning of that with this great collaboration with these 2 wonderful institutions. So let me just say this. There's a scripture that a lot of people don't know. The scripture says this, and this is just as the Word of God as John 3:16. The Bible says, money solveth all things. That's a scripture. That's a scripture. And it's inspired by God. So this is the beginning of us solving problems, not making problems. This is the beginning of moving forth and answering the call of those that are helpless and hopeless, those that cannot come, those that had problems before. We are solution-oriented. We're not problem makers. So I just want to thank you for the wonderful things that you're doing here. Thank you for the great things that you're doing for our community. I'm excited. Always be a part of it. Know that me and the city of Stonecrest are always there for you to do great and mighty things. Dr. Bryan, thank you again for this wonderful thing, what you're doing for the generations. Thank you for what you're doing for my great-great-great-grandchildren, because they will benefit from this great move. God bless you, and thank you so much for this time.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any other elected officials who would like to take a moment to speak? All right. With that, I will bring up our CEO, Ms. Cynthia Day.
All I can say is, wow. I wish we could take this and multiply it across the country. This is probably the greatest history lesson and also just pathway forward because we are stronger together. John, I am bowing to you. I appreciate our partnership. Again, this is extremely special to me, and I think we're going to do great things together. This is not going to be the first center. This is just our inauguration. We want to take this and expand it across the country with us. So thank you. Thank you to all of our elected officials. I mean, it is wonderful. It is a pleasure for us to serve alongside of you in this community. And we look forward to continuing to do great things. As we hit that $1 billion mark, it's just, the impact is just going to get greater. So thank you. Thank you to my team. Thank you to all the Operation Hope. You've been wonderful. You've made a meaningful impact already. So we just expect this to get greater. With that, I'd love to bring you forward for being with us today. Just a moment of appreciation and thank you. So Mayor Jasmine Cobble, will you come forth? And we just have just a little token of appreciation for you. Councilman Rob Turner, Commissioner Lorraine Johnson, we thank you. We thank you. My friend, Mr. John Hope Bryant. And I think they've told me to ask you guys to stand here.
Lance, come join me up here. Lance, come join me, Lance.
Oh, and I'm sorry. And all of the Operation Hope leaders, please, I'm sorry. You are the most important. We've got something for you as well. I apologize for that.
I want to acknowledge this, FYI, our Chief Community Officer is here, Sir James Buchanan. Raise your hand. No, I was just saying, our Chief Community Officer is here, Sir James Buchanan. And this location, by the way, is funded with net proceeds from a partnership with Twitter. Interestingly enough, they invested some money, and they gave the profit from that money to Operation Hope to open 5 Hope Insides in Black Banks. This is the first one of those. And we're going to we're going to make sure Elon Musk keeps the commitment too.
All right. Thank you all for attending our reception for Operation Hope and Citizens Trust. I hope you all have a blessed day. And again, take it out with you. Thank you all.